Hello there, World of Tankers, and welcome to the channel. I'm your host, World Blitz, and in today's video, we are taking a look at this Tier 8 French Premium Medium, the Alt Proto AMX 30. It's a very weird designed vehicle. It's just basically two slopes and then a turret stuck on the top. But it's a French medium, and as we know, usually the French tanks sacrifice a lot of armor for mobility. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at this Tier 8 Premium. Obviously, it's not released yet, so these statistics could be subject to change as it is tested, but overall I don't think they'll change too much, so let's see how the tank statistics are. First of all, it's got 1,431 hit points. Now that's not nearly as much as a vehicle like the AMX CDC's 1,500, but it'll still get the job done. I should point out that this is with running improved assembly on the equipment. Main armor, turret 120 millimeters thick, the front is 60, oh boy, yeah. We'll break into the armor actually in a bit. I have the armor profile of Blitz as well for the vehicle, so we'll see how the armor is. When it comes to DPM, actually really good. 2347 is not bad. Now I should point out that gun rammer is being used on the tank. I would probably run gun rammer on this vehicle though, because look at that crazy good penetration. 218 on the standard and 262 on the APCR. I mean, that's almost tier 9 levels of penetration on a tier 8 medium. That's rare. You really don't see super high penetration values on tier 8 mediums. We're definitely getting higher as the game's getting further and further along. I mean, that's just how it seems like this game is developing. But still, that's a lot of pen, more than you'll probably need to actually run calibrated for. So yeah, really good DPM as well. It's got 280 average damage, which is pretty beefy, 240 on the premium, and 350 in the HE. It's not the highest alpha in the game. There's vehicles that have 310 for mediums. I mean, heck, we even got the Chinese vehicles up at 400. But I think that this is a really sweet spot of alpha. 280 is where you don't have too long of a reload, and, you know, you've still got that good reload mixed with DPM plus the penetration. And by the way, this thing is really accurate. 0.308 dispersion is fantastic. Aiming time could be a little bit better, and I should point out that we're only running one of the aiming time equipment, so the other one, you probably get it down to about 3.5 seconds, but it's really going to be down to the on-movement dispersion of this vehicle. It could be really bad on movement on the move, kind of like the AMX CDC. Guess we'll have to find out. I should point out, 10 degrees of gun depression, that's pretty dang sweet. That means you're going to be able to work any ridge lines that you pop off against, which will be fantastic. And it's also incredibly fast, going in at a top speed of 58 kilometers per hour and 20 in reverse. That means that it averages 41, because look at that ridiculous power to weight, 25.3. This vehicle only weighs in at 33 tons. I mean, this thing is going to be fast. So I can't wait to actually try this thing out. It's going to be one of the fastest vehicles in tier 8 for the gun that it carries, which is going to be really exciting. Pretty good turret traverse rate at 51 degrees a second, and really good hull traverse rate as well at 59.8. Overall, when it comes to these statistics of the Alt Proto, it's going to be a fast one, like a really fast vehicle. It obviously only weighs 30 tons, but we also want to take a look at the armor profile, because one thing I should point out is while French mediums are not known for having armor, well, neither is this one. I should point out that the upper plate is not actually bad. On flat ground, the upper plate is 183 millimeters thick, meaning that, for example, if you were to get some tier 7s, yeah, they might actually struggle to penetrate that upper plate a bit. Now, it's not the hardest. I mean, this lower part here only about 120 to 150, and the lower plate's only about 69 millimeters thick, but to be fair, that is still a bit of a troll upper plate. And this is where things get a little bit nasty. You'll notice how steep that upper plate is. And because this vehicle has really good gun depression, if you just use like 6 degrees, that upper plate actually becomes an auto ricochet for almost all shells in the game, down to the fact that it is such a steep angle. So if we put this vehicle with full gun depression, you're not going to bounce any of that upper plate. Now you still got to be careful, because as you can see, if you shoot at certain angles, it's possible that your shell will ricochet off the upper plate and go into the turret, which, I mean, that doesn't really help you much, does it? Now, when it comes to turret armor, it's not great. It's 209 millimeters thick on the mantlet, 210, and everywhere else is about 100 millimeters thick. So yeah, I guess against tier 7s you'll get some bounces, but let's be real. Your average tier 8, like the Emil, has over 217 millimeters of standard pen, and that's the case for literally every tier 8 heavy, even most mediums. So yeah, the turret armor is not going to do anything, and that's the real problem. Like, I think the turret will be troll. You can see there's a lot of these weird troll spots that go up to 250 millimeters thick and up here. So I do think that this turret will be very weird on its penetration, just like how the Leopard 1 occasionally gets odd bounces, but I don't think it's going to be anything that's going to cause you to actually bounce shells. It's just going to be an annoyance when it happens. Upper plate, though, people that are unsuspecting will definitely bounce off of that. Now, when it comes to the side armor, as you can see, if you're driving just out in the open in this vehicle, you might actually get some decent bounces on the side, down to the very simple fact that you'll notice they're very steep angles again. So yeah, you can just be driving this tank maybe off in the dunes on Oasis Palms, up and down them, and possibly get some bounces on the side. Although on flat sides, yeah, not very thick, only about 55 millimeters thick, meaning that you can actually get HE'd in the sides. Keep that in mind. Any 120 plus millimeter cannon is going to have the opportunity to pen you with high explosive there. As well, the side of the turret is quite weak, only at 62 millimeters thick, meaning that any 150 millimeter cannon will be able to penetrate this side of your turret. I should also point out that we talked about it before, the lower plate's only 75 thick. And judging that a vehicle like the Borsig or, for example, the ISU 152 both carry over 90 millimeters of HE pen, yeah, you're going to very easily penetrate the lower plate. You can see just how weak the sides are to an ISU's HE, and the rear as well. I mean, yeah, it's not very thick. Only 30 millimeters here, only 42 there. Even at this angled bit, it's still only about 94 millimeters thick. So overall, this tank looks honestly really fun. It sacrifices a lot of armor for mobility, but can you name a French tank that really doesn't do that? Almost all French tanks are fast. Even the AMX 54, which is a heavy tank, still doesn't have nearly as much armor as your other tier 10 heavies. So for this vehicle, it seems like the gun is going to be really nice. The penetration is fantastic. It's got good alpha. It's got great mobility, and it's even got a very flexible gun depression value. The only downside is that it really sacrifices in the armor department, but I don't think it truly sacrifices in the armor department. Like, it's not good, but I actually don't think this is bad. I think that upper plate will get some bounces here and there. The thing I really like statistically about the Alt Proto is there's really not any other tier 8s that kind of have its playstyle. For example, if we look at all the tier 8 mediums, I don't think any of these have a top speed of 58 paired with a really good alpha. The Lance NC is decently fast at 50, definitely not 58. The Rev, it has the gun, it's got a really good gun by the way, but the Rev only goes 48 kilometers per hour and its power to weight is not nearly as good. The AMX CDC, it has the mobility, but it doesn't have the armor on the front, not nearly the armor, and as well, the Rev doesn't have the alpha. So I actually think that the Alt Proto is a really cool combination. The closest I honestly think you can get is like the Object 274A, because this vehicle is decently fast, going at 55 kilometers per hour, has 310 alpha, but the problem with the 274A is down to the very simple fact that it only carries 7 degrees of gun depression, not 10. So yeah, I actually think that the Alt Proto is a really unique vehicle. I'm excited to get my hands on it. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments down below.